You remember episode 7, all those feels we had with Art's death? Well, it's gone now. All my emotions and feels I had from that episode was just completely crushed with that freaking ending section of this episode of Hamatora. We get to see the corner of Art's head laying in bed like he's alive. So, Art's alive. This was my biggest concern and something I did not want to see Hamatora do, because the way Art went down was an emotional death that I loved. Even though he was a great character, they would shit on his character if they brought him back. And guess what? Art's alive. Art's fucking alive. They wouldn't show us his body and the corner of his head laying on the last segment of the episode if he wasn't alive in some form or fashion. So this is 100% just downright bullcrap. I do not like this whatsoever. I know a lot of people want to see Art back. I'm not saying that you're wrong on that. Art's a great character. I'm not saying Art's a bad character. But you don't build up an emotional scene to make us all upset that Art is dead. And we get to see that entire scene the way it had so much emotion behind it and feels. And if you've been sticking true to a Hamatora to actually paying attention, that scene was just a really good scene to probably conclude Art's character. And then they just shit on his entire character and Art's alive. What the hell, Hamatora? You had a very good episode. This episode actually was very good. Was a really good episode that increased the plot, and we got to see a lot that was going on with the main storyline. And then you give us that ending. Why? So, I'm going to look past ending. I am going to hope right now and say that most likely that's Art's dead body laying on the bed, and he's actually dead. He's just laying there. So, that's what I'm going to hope for right now until I get to see the next episode of Hamatora. But let's look past that entire section of the ending. Let's talk about what this episode was, since it was an actual good episode. Laurel finally puts his plan into action. We finally get to actually see what he was trying to plan all along. He reveals to the entire public about the minimum holders, reveals all sorts of powers, and now the entire world knows about it. And so we get to see the actual hatred and evilness of humanity and how they think that minimum holders are not even people, they're monsters, which is to be kind of expected, but at the same time, I cannot stand this. Why can't people just accept a person for who they are? Don't be freaking envious and greedy over someone having another power that you do not have. That pisses me off. I'm not saying this is a bad episode because I'm not. I just think that pisses me off in my own standpoint, because all that happened in this episode is honestly what we could probably see happening in real life, and I think this was really relatable in real life standards and different parts of history we've had. I really cannot stand how the people reacted to like Honey and 3, the way they wanted to take the children away from them. They were just freaking assholes. That's all I can say about that. You don't just take children away from people that have been raising them since they're born and say you're monsters. You don't need to be raising these children. I mean, that is just downright garbage. That really is. I cannot stand that. And all when I saw those people typing bad comments on the internet saying, haha, minimum holders should all die and all that, and then pretty much you get to see their entire address leaked to the entire internet, I was like, hell freaking yes. That's what you get. And then the way we get to see the entire conversation of how moral states that people can say whatever they want anonymously, but when they're finally revealed to the public, we get to see how weak they are. And you gotta love the way Moral plays that entire plan out, how he shows the weakness of humanity, and that is really freaking awesome. I love how this episode was displayed. It really goes to show you the corruption of humanity, and I felt like this episode was good in that entire aspect. It was a very good episode of Hamatora. This was definitely one of my favorites because it really had a lot of build up to it, and this is how Hamatora should have been in the first place. This is how the series really should have been, with the atmosphere that it gave this episode, with the music, and also the animation felt a little bit better this episode too. So if Hamatora would have stuck to these themes, these exact themes for the entire series, what happened this episode, this series would be fucking badass. But it has to destroy its series with certain plot devices, filler episodes, along with bringing a character that should be dead back, which I shouldn't be talking about because I think he's dead still. So anyways, what I'm getting at is that this episode was a very good episode up until the very ending, and I felt like, should that entire ending actually bring down my viewpoint of this episode, I'm gonna say no. I did enjoy this episode for what it was, and I really loved the actual intensity of the episode. And now, this is definitely not the best episode I've ever seen of this season or anime at all in general, but this definitely is a major step up for Hamatora, and I like it. It's definitely a very good episode compared to episode 7 that we got to see with the emotional death. So, hopefully Hamatora can actually do something really good next week with its next episode. And if, let's just say, Art does come back, even though most likely he is. Let's say he does come back. At the very least, I hope they do something better for his character, or at the very least do something more emotional or something. I don't know how the hell they can fix the entire destruction of Art's character now after probably bringing him back. So tell me your thoughts on this episode, everybody. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments of this episode? Did you actually like this episode of Hamatora? Did you hate this episode of Hamatora? What do you feel about Art most likely being alive? Remember what I said earlier in this review. I say I love Art's character. I really love Art's character. I just don't like a character being brought back after he should be dead. Tell me your opinions on that, everybody. You have a wonderful day now wherever you live. Chibi out.